Good evening. My name is Troy Shockley, and I'm the Director of Human Capital Development at the Congress Heights Community Training and Development Corporation. I want to say a few things about the Circulator. The Circulator has helped our adult education program out tremendously by being free. First and foremost, we are located at various sites, and our training is spread throughout Ward 8. The great thing about the Circulator being free is that it affords our adult learners the opportunity to go from site to site to site without spending money. Conversely, it has even helped us out with our retention, because at one point when students would come and they did not have money to come back and forth to school, they would just stay home. Now, because most of our residents in Ward 8 come to our program, the Circulator has been a big help for us. With that being said, I would like to welcome to the stage Mayor Muriel Bowser.
Good afternoon, everyone. And I want to thank you, Troy, for those wonderful remarks in talking about how free public transportation is helping D.C. residents who are seeking to improve their lives. And the free circulator gives them a small boost to help them get on the right path. We're also joined today by two residents, Jamil Ludd and his mother, Brenda Ludd. We're Jamil and Brenda. Thank you for being here. And they shared with us that they are grateful to have free circulator to help mom get around the city. And so we wanted to invite them here today so that we can meet them and thank them and let them know in person that we are committed to keeping the DC circulator free. This has certainly been a difficult week for the D.C. transportation community, or bike and pedestrian community, with very difficult, tragic crashes in our city. And part of what we are doing here today is announcing a project that will allow us to transform a key corridor in our city, making this corridor safer, making it work better for residents, employees, and businesses that dot K Street. I want to recognize that I have been joined by the Director of the District Department of Transportation, Jeff Marudian. Give Jeff a big round of applause. The Executive Director of the Golden Triangle Bid, Leona. Where's Leona? Oh, right here. There's Leona. Executive Director of the DuPont Circle Bid, Colleen. Thank you, Colleen, for being Colleen Hawkinson, and Executive Director of the Downtown DC Bid, former City Administrator, Deputy Mayor, and Director of various DC agencies, Neil Albert. Thank you, Neil, for being here. And Neil Spence. And so anyone who travels through downtown K Street understands what a nightmare the traffic can be. I came here from MPD headquarters, and I didn't have that long to travel on K Street from where we turned. But I decided to get out and walk the rest of the way so that I can be here almost on time. So that's just a small example of, especially at this time of day, how the traffic on K Street can be. K Street Northwest is indeed an international destination, home to hotels, conference centers, restaurants, offices, and more. 150,000 people travel along this corridor every day. Every day, 28,000 vehicles use K Street between 12th Street and 21st Street. And 40% of all people who travel east and west across our city are K Street bus passengers. And we know it's a travel experience that we can and must improve. Buses currently average 3 to 5 miles per hour down K Street. And those who take the bus know if you can walk down the street, you may beat your bus. But to fix this situation and help build a safer and more efficient street for all of us, those who work here, live here, visit here, and travel through this area, we have to think bigger about how we get cars off the road. Say it with me. Cars off the road, and how we share our roads and sidewalks. One way to do this is by making public transportation more efficient. It's why I fought so hard, and with many of you, to make sure that we secure dedicated funding for our metro system. It's why I continue to fight with so many of you to return late night hours to Metro. Say it, late night hours to Metro. And why I included $16 million in my proposed budget to expand DC Circulator to Ward 7, which is the largest part of that $16 million, and also $3 million to keep DC Circulator free. And by making our public transportation system more reliable, we can encourage more people to use buses and trains and reduce traffic. It's also important that we enforce the laws that we have. We can do a lot to invest and improve our infrastructure, but we also have to enforce and make people respect the rules of our road. We have to build and reinforce a culture that prioritizes the proper use of our space. And to do both of these things, my new budget that's before the council right now includes $240 million for streetscape improvements across the District of Columbia, including the redesign of the dangerous so-called Dave Thomas Circle in Ward 5. It also includes $4.7 million to expand our Vision Zero efforts, including $2.8 million to hire an additional 20 parking enforcement officers who will be focused almost exclusively on ensuring bike lanes are safe and free of obstructions. And there's the project we're here to talk about today. With a $122 million investment, we're going to completely redesign K Street between 12th Street and 21st Street. We'll remove the existing service lines, add dedicated bus lanes and protected bike lanes, redesign the sidewalks, and build safer intersections. Our city has changed pretty dramatically over the past 2 decades. Our population is the highest it's been since the early 70s. The growth has allowed us to do a lot of good work, and it has made DC one of the hottest cities in the world. But there have also been growing pains, particularly when it comes to traffic, how we share our roads, and how we all do so safely. But we're going to continue working together to do better. We'll continue to prioritize pedestrian safety and a focus on big projects like this one, as well as small fixes along the way. And when we do that, we know that we will continue to build a city and invest in an infrastructure that will allow us to keep up with the growth of Washington, D.C. So with that, I'm going to invite our DDOT director to join me on stage. I also would like to acknowledge a few other folks who are here, including the Ward 2 council member, and we are in Ward 2, and I want to thank Jack Evans for being here today, as well as a number of our A&C commissioners, John Fanning, Ian Simon, James Harnett. Are you here? Where are you, commissioners? William Smith, who is behind me, and all of the commissioners who are here today to talk about transportation in the district. So with that, Jeff Marudian.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mayor Bowser. This is exciting. First, let's give the mayor one more round of applause. It is because of the mayor's vision and leadership that we are here today talking about this incredible project. And we want to thank the residents, businesses, community leaders who share in that vision for a reimagined K Street. The K Street corridor is home to commuters of all types, bus riders, cyclists, pedestrians. It also accommodates commercial deliveries and ride-hailing vehicles. Clearly, as you can see, the current configuration of K Street Northwest with service lanes through most of the corridor doesn't work. It operates poorly for all modes of travel. The future design for K Street is safer, it's more efficient, and it's less confusing. Today, we value choices in transportation, emphasizing safety in those choices for pedestrians, cyclists, and transit riders. We also recognize the need for spaces where travelers of all modes can share limited right-of-way. The K Street Transitway will improve the road and sidewalks and reallocate space to transit passengers. The district is committed, as the mayor said, to providing bus lanes and other infrastructure to make bus travel a better transportation choice for district residents and visitors. Currently, buses along this corridor are among the slowest and least reliable in the district. That has to change. Bus speeds average 3 to 5 miles per hour in many segments and time periods, resulting in poor bus performance and low reliability. The Transitway will increase those speeds by upwards of 50% and ensure better on-time performance. For 40,000 people or more every day, that means more time to be with their families, getting to work on time, enjoying a beautiful park like the one we are currently in, not stuck in traffic on a bus. As the mayor said, we're taking the service lanes out, thinking carefully about how we're going to utilize that precious curbside space. We're including a major streetscape, a design that will make this corridor more beautiful, more safe, and more enjoyable for pedestrians. The design will contribute to the district's sustainability goals and include landscaping, street trees, and other environmental features that will capture stormwater. None of this can happen without your input. We look forward to engaging directly with the community throughout the design process as we deliver this new corridor. The corridor will reflect the mayor's commitment to public transportation, to sustainability, and to investments in our infrastructure. It's now my pleasure to introduce Ward 2 Councilmember Jack Evans.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Oh, come on. Good afternoon. It's a great day in the District of Columbia. Isn't it beautiful out here today? And I want to take this opportunity to thank our mayor, who's done a fabulous job. Her first 4 years were transformative in the District of Columbia. And now in her second term, she's coming up with tremendous ideas. So Mayor Bowser, thank you so much. And our DDOT director, Jeff Meridian, who is so responsive. Every time I get in touch with him, he is there to answer my call. And he has done a great job, again, in improving the transportation in our city. So, Jeff, thank you so much as well. And the mayor acknowledged, but I do want to mention again our A&C commissioners. The chairman of the Foggy Bottom A&C, Will Smith, is behind me. The chairman of the Logan Circle, John Fanning, is over here. Give him a round of applause. Ian was mentioned already, Janice, James Harnett, and then Randy Downs is here. So give them all a big round of applause. They really go a long way to representing many of the residents in the District of Columbia. So I'm very pleased to be here today about the K Street Transitway that is going to change K Street. Now, I have to say this. I was actually here when that was done before. Believe it or not, I was around, Leon. I was here. I think when that was done, it was puzzling to all of us as to how that got built in the first place. I think no one could really understand those kind of lanes that were put in, etc. And it just hasn't worked. And many of us who drive on K Street all the time have noticed that even though there are 10 lanes from curb to curb, you can find yourself with the two inside lanes being blocked, and then the two lanes on the main highway having a Federal Express truck there or something else, or a taxi cab, and all of a sudden a 10-lane road becomes impassable. And the traffic starts to back up, and there you have K Street, one of the main streets in the District of Columbia. So what is being proposed here is really transformative in putting in bus lanes. Now let me just speak to you just a minute about buses too. As you know, in my other job, I am the chairman of the Board of Metro, and I have to say, in the last 3 years, we have made enormous changes in our metro system. First, on the rail system, we're not anywhere where we want to be, but we certainly are a long way from where we were. And I think a lot of credit to the mayor, to our Executive Director Paul Wiedefeld, etc., in making it a more reliable and safe system. On the bus side, we are examining the entire bus in the entire metropolitan region. And so we will have a study coming out in May or June that shows how we can transform the bus system in this region into something that works much better. And what that means are dedicated bus lanes, just like what we're talking about out here on K Street. So you will be able to get on a bus at 12th Street and get to Washington Circle in record time, something you just cannot do today. And if this region is going to survive in the future, public transportation is how it's going to work. And again, we have to change the mindset of how we view public transportation. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity, and certainly in the district. Certainly in the district. It is the method that many of our residents get around because they have no other alternative. And we have to make this work. And I'll finish with this to give you an example of how we don't value public transportation. The three largest airports, three airports in the metropolitan region are Reagan, Dulles, and BWI. BWI is our largest airport. We do 25 million passengers a year, which is a lot of passengers. And we take care of our airports. They're safe, they're reliable, pristine. We take care of our airports. 25 million passengers a year. I do 25 million passengers a month on Metro. We need to treat Metro, bus, and rail like we do our airports and our other means of transportation. So, Mayor, it's a pleasure to be here with you today. Thank you very much. And let's look forward to the ribbon cutting to get this thing underway.
All right. Okay, so you've heard about the project. We're going to continue to work, and DDOT is going to be out in the community talking to all of our stakeholders as we proceed with the design of this very important project. So with that, we will take questions on topic, and I will make myself available to the side for off topic. On topic. From the press first, and then I'll come to community members, okay? Yes, ma'am. Please introduce yourself.
Caroline Tucker with NBC4. Does this plan in the future ever include the streetcar plan from Union Station to Georgetown at all?
I think that we will plan to design it in such a way that it can accommodate multiple modes or varied modes. So it could accommodate bus or streetcar.
Road, is that possibility in the future? Are you leaving that open then?
We are still evaluating, I should say, the westward link from H Street to the west. And we have not determined what the westbound terminus point will be yet. Okay, ma'am?
Will synchronized lighting be considered as well?
Oh, that's a great question. Her question was about how will lights be synchronized, and I'm going to ask Jeff to talk a little bit more about how we think the transitway will operate.
Yes, that's a great question. Part of our design for this will be transit signal priority, which will ensure that buses are able to move through the corridor as quickly as possible.
Address the parking situation and what's going to happen with parking along this corridor and what that's going to mean for people who do park in this corridor?
Yeah, so what we know is that over the years, the nature of the curbside has changed significantly, and parking has, in large part, been added to by pickup and drop-off and other types of services, including transit. And so we're evaluating whether there's a need to continue to have metered curbside space in order to think through things like pickup and drop-off zones and commercial delivery areas.
I just want to give a shout out to Jeff and Councilman Evans. The original plan had this going to 10th Street. Between 12th and 10th, it would have cut off 12 feet from the lawn of the Asbury United Methodist Church and historic Black Church. The original plan, we fought in the neighborhood. Thanks to Councilman Evans, now we have a new plan into 12th Street. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I am a site manager for 1150 and how worried were, if there was any way that it was going to affect our business as well. I know there's a lot of traffic where we are at right now, and things are just difficult and challenging. So will this affect our building as well?
Well, the project start and end points at this point are 12th to 21st. 12th Street to 21st Street. We think that whether the transitway starts or ends right in front of your building, that it's going to have a positive impact on your building because we will be able to move a lot more people through the corridor a lot more quickly. So we think that the benefits of being able to move people are incredible, including for all of the property owners along this transitway. We think that it enhances the value of your property, for example, because we know when you have excellent transportation facilities, whether it's free circulator or it's a transit stop, or it's the DC streetcar, it has enhanced the value of all of the properties around it because many, many more people can move more quickly through that corridor. It turns out to be a great recruiting tool for people to work in your buildings because you can tell them that it's, they won't encounter as much gridlock coming and going. It means that for your visitors as well. We also think, and you just heard Jeff mention, that we may have better opportunities to manage pickups and drop-offs and deliveries. One thing we know is they're not going anywhere, and that we need to better accommodate those deliveries so that we don't see the double parking and the blocking of bike lanes and the blocking of the box that creates so many more conflicts with pedestrians and bicyclists, that if we better manage the roadway in the first place, we can reduce those conflicts. Yes?
How high a priority will the level of traffic stress, congestion, or otherwise be in determining the final design?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
The director mentioned that bus traffic travels slowly. Will car travel being impacted to go slower be a variable in your consideration?
Well, certainly we're going to have dedicated bus, which means that the cars won't be able to mix, and we expect that the buses will be able to go faster. And I'll ask Jeff to keep in mind that we're very early in our thinking about what the design will be, and much will change before the final design. But Jeff will just emphasize the number of vehicle lanes of travel we expect.
Yes, that's right. Keep in mind that we are taking out the service lanes and adding additional facilities for bicycles and also ensuring that pedestrian accessibility is accommodated throughout the entire corridor and installing a dedicated bus lane down the center. And those are the priorities of this project.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, but we're so desperate for this thing to happen. Why isn't it going to start till 2021 and not be done till 2023?
Well, I happen to agree with you on that. So my charge to our team is to look at our timeline is to see if we can deliver it by 2022. And the reason why it takes so long, and believe me, we'll examine every way to make it shorter, but you have to get the design right. Because what Jack said, he was here when this was installed, so that must have been 28 years ago. These facilities will last at least that long. So it's kind of the scenario where you have to get it right in the front end so that it operates best at the back end. But the building itself probably is the shorter part of the process. The design and getting it moving is the longer part, but we will look for every way to make it shorter. I also want to introduce a new member of our senior team, Deputy Mayor Lucinda Babers. Lucinda, let everybody see you. This at the beginning, one of our changes for the second term was to have a new deputy mayor position focused on mobility and infrastructure. And that is Lucinda's charge to work with DDOT, the utilities, and all of the agencies involved with mobility. And part of her task is to minimize any friction into getting this project done quickly. And so we think the addition of Lucinda's role, she's not new to DC government. She's been knocking it out of the box for us for many years, most recently as the director of the DMV. And she knows how to get her sister agencies to work well together. So we are hopeful that her role will reduce some of the unnecessary wait times. In, what happens in bureaucracies is we hurry up to wait for one process to end to start, and we think Lucinda can help us and Director Meridian ease some of that friction. Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you.